Now let's do this. Let's jump over to our good friends in Australia, and let me clap back at the Australian.
I mean, it's getting wild over there.
So Australia is in the process of building more camps, which they already have several of. These are camps with relocatable cabins, they say, for quarantining people who are, as they say, when they're coming from abroad, they need to be placed into this camp, into a bungalow, to be kept safe so that they can't infect people with COVID.
Oh, be protected, I see.
And they have to wait there. Now, I referred to this as a concentration camp. Why? Because the word concentration camp doesn't literally mean Nazi death camp.
Right.
And there is some, you are trying to evoke an emotion by saying concentration camp. I did not choose those words lightly. I'm literally trying to point out what's happening. The government of Australia has built camps. Mm-hmm. They are putting people in those camps. They are claiming it's for safety. This is step 1 in the 100-step process towards locking up people, sealing them in, and then letting them die. Will it get to that point? Maybe not. No idea. But when has the government built camps with relocatable cabins for people deemed suspected of having a sickness to be locked away for a short period of time? When has that turned out well?
I want to just clarify, you're exactly right on the definition of concentration camp. It's a camp where large numbers of persons, such as whatever, political prisoners, whatever, are detained for the purposes of concentrating them in one place.
Exactly.
That's what that means. The death camps were a very specific type of concentration camp, not common.
Right. And so you're trying to evoke an emotion by calling it a concentration camp, obviously.
Sure, of course, yeah.
But quite literally, it's just when people are concentrated in one place, which is what they're doing. Now, I will, as much as I typically don't like doing this, I'm going to actually just call out Quillette and Claire Lehman specifically, because I used to be a big fan. And now I think they are one of the they're one of the perfect examples, Quillette and Claire, of how you get the Nazis. So you look at Nazi Germany and people would say, like, how did it get so bad? No, it's really simple. When the people who were claiming to be the intelligent dissidents started apologizing for the actions of the Nazis, any reasonable dissent was gone. And it's probably because they were scared of the state. They were scared of being included in as an undesirable or as unclean or being labeled. They were scared. Recently, we've seen with the opposition to critical race applied principles in schools, Claire Lehman of Quillette, Kathy Newmaning James Lindsay, meaning she takes things he says greatly out of context to try and smear him, which is really weird because why would you do that? He's talking about American political issues and there's no reason to take what he's saying out of context. Recently, when I tweeted concentration camp in response to the camps they're building in Australia, Claire did a tweet saying that I called them death camps, which is, again, out of context or just hyperbolic, and then criticized me, which ended up now in the Australian, as I'm told, one of Murdoch's Australian papers. Now, in this article, she says, mocked we may be, but compare the death rates. Oh. This is Claire Lehman, Quillette, supposedly supposed to be classically liberal, challenging the wokeness and the establishment, defending the authoritarian practices of Australia. A video of a man being taken out of a hotel because there was a manhunt because he didn't quarantine and he was seen sneezing in an elevator. There's a video, and we have it, of a guy who they show up to his house with the police in full gear and he's confused as to what's happening. They said he's being taken to a hotel quarantine indefinitely. News 9 Australia is saying this. When you have police showing up to people's homes and saying, we're going to quarantine you, then they say we've built camps and we will build more camps. At what point do you say, I kind of don't trust the government doing this? Do you think that when the Nazis started building these camps, they went out and told the public what their intention was?
No.
Of course not.
Well, I mean, the presumption is, if you believe the stories that we read when the 101st Airborne first came upon one of these camps, that was the first that anybody, except for the people that lived nearby, that saw the ashes of bodies burning going by their homes. Like, those people in the villages knew, but the people in Munich, they had no idea. They allegedly, anyways, right?
Well, so the propaganda is, you can look back at it. One of the famous bits of propaganda from the Nazis was that the Warsaw Ghetto, for instance, the Jews carried typhus. And for the sake of the health, we needed to get in there and we need to do something about it. That's what they were doing. So they pull up in the trucks. They say, get on the train cart. And then when I see a video of a guy with the cops showing up and they're like, it's time for your indefinite quarantine, and he's like, all right, mate. I'm like, that guy did not learn a single thing from history. Now, I'll admit, It's a big challenge. What do you do when multiple cops show up, quarantine, ready to take you in? It's like, man, I'm not going to presume to be the arbiter of morality on this one to tell you what you should or shouldn't do, but I will say it's shocking for us nonetheless to watch a video out of Australia where a guy says he apparently. Let me jump to this tweet. Now I will admit, first and foremost, there's video. It says News 9 exclusive. Nothing comes up. People have been searching for this guy's name because like the search algorithms show you people are searching for this guy's name, but nothing comes up from News 9. And I don't know the original source on this video. But this man says, you can see him, the cops show up to his house, they're wearing gear. He says he got a COVID test just for peace of mind. Never got alerted to what happened until one day the cops showed up saying he was positive and would be taken in for an indefinite quarantine. I don't know what happened to this guy or where he's ended up, but why would anyone look at that and say, that's fine, that's normal? Now to throw it back to Quillette, what happened? So what Claire Lehman has written for The Australian, she briefly mentions me saying, in the opening paragraph, the international media spotlight has been shining on Australia lately, and not in a good way. Last week, the left-leaning Atlantic magazine published an article that asked rhetorically if we were still a liberal democracy. No, Australia is not. That's me adding that in. She goes on to say, U.S. TV host Tucker Carlson told his audience of 3 million viewers Australia has descended into totalitarianism, which it has. And on social media, popular U.S. YouTube personality Tim Pool likened our quarantine facilities to concentration camps. They then show a statement from this guy, Josh Zepps, he's an Australian broadcaster or whatever. He says, repurposing outback mining accommodation into international arrival bungalows is not the same as running a concentration camp. Literally, by definition, it is. Concentration camps are bad because they brutalize political prisoners, not because they look ugly in aerial photos. This is what I said about the Kathy Newmaning. Now, to be fair, like I think we all know concentration camp evokes a kind of memory of what Nazi Germany was doing. But I use that phrase specifically not to imply that Australia has been rounding people up and beating them and executing them, though I do think people there are being mistreated, as we've seen in some of the videos. But just listen to what he's saying. Repurposing outback mining accommodation into international arrival bungalows.
It's more than that. They're getting people from their houses as well. It's not just international.
Now, hold on. That video, they say hotel quarantine. It seems like that was before they had the camp set up and they were putting people in hotels. But here's my point on that.
Canada's doing that still, right?
The hotels,
right.
Yeah. So this guy is, look, they built camps. They literally built camps to concentrate people, right?
We were just talking. It was a huge conspiracy theory, the FEMA camp thing, right? That would never happen in the West. That would never happen here. Like, it's literally happening right now.
Well, so here's my point. This guy starts, tweeting. I love how absolutely pathetic Quillette has become. I mean that somewhat. I'm being sarcastic. It's sad. There was an event we did. I was at it in Milwaukee, and I met Claire, and I was excited. I'm like, Quillette does a great job. It's very rational, reasonable. It's anti-authoritarian. And now they are literally dropping to their knees and gagging on boot. When you have videos of a guy sneezing in an elevator and then a manhunt, and they find him, and they're dragging him away in this full gear while people cheer for it. When you have a video of a guy being taken from his house for a hotel quarantine, it's not about whether or not they are actively putting those people in camps. It's about they've created camps to concentrate people as they come into the country. They're building more of them. The Brisbane, how we pronounce it, camp isn't expected to be finished until mid-2022. Brisbane. So what does that mean?
Brizzy.
They do not expect... They do not expect the pandemic to end until sometime after mid-2022, because I really doubt they're building a camp to just shut down immediately or not use it all. It's very likely they will use it like they're using these camps. If they're already willing to show up to someone's house and take them away for a quarantine, why wouldn't they eventually just say, well, we have these quarantine facilities. They're better than the hotels. It's cheaper for everybody, so we'll just put them in the bungalows. It's just a bungalow. What's the big deal?
Yeah, you're going to get pushback that they're not camps. You'll probably start hearing that. They're not camps, Tim. They're quarantine facilities.
That's literally my point.
They're concentration facilities. Yeah. And it's the same thing.
And that's the point I'm making with what he said, except they call them relocatable cabins.
Sure, call them whatever.
No.
You concentrate.
A cabin. A cabin. They're cabins.
Concentration cabins.
Well, no. The point is, campgrounds have cabins.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah, this is all political messaging, though. How quickly did the phrase "kids in cages" switch to whatever the Obama or the Biden administration were calling them? And the circumstances were far worse, by the way. I don't know if you've seen. I'm sure you have. You've seen these pictures, right? of the kids rolled
Under
up,
the bridge.
of kids rolled up in thermal blankets.
It was bad when it was under Trump, but at least Trump was actively saying we gotta end this
Which is,
border
by the way, is
crisis.
the same thing that Hillary Clinton was saying as Secretary of State in 2013. Exactly that.
Right.
Do not come here.
And Bernie.
Yeah.
But let's I'm gonna throw back to Australia and make this point. In the United States, we saw Black Lives Matter marching through the street, shoulder to shoulder, no masks. And the media said it was fine. They're not super spreader events because we say so. Sturgis happened, motorcycle rally, not even overtly political for the most. I mean, I'm sure there was politics there, but for the most part, it's a motorcycle rally, super spreader event. Protesters on the state capitol stairs, super spreader event. We get it. Obama can have his big birthday party and everything's fine, even though people did get sick. Black Lives Matter can protest and it's fine. What do you think is going to happen in Australia with these people protesting the quarantines? How long until the police say, well, this quarantine was a super spreader event, so we're going to start putting these people in quarantine for their own safety?
You're developing a mechanism for them to get retribution against people politically. Right.
And so this guy tweeted at me and said, when that starts happening, I'll admit I was wrong. And I'm like, and therein lies my point, that you would let it happen before you would do anything about it. And I would say, hey, don't let them do it. Quillette, you're cowards.
First they came for the socialists, and I wasn't a socialist, so I didn't say anything. Then they came for the trade unions, and I wasn't a trade unionist. I didn't say anything. So then they came for the Jews. I wasn't a Jew, so I didn't say anything. And then they came for me, and there was no one left to say anything. That's a very good poem.
Yep.
Man, it's, and by the way, even the data she's talking about is nonsense. She's, look at our numbers. We're lower than if we had lost as many, the percentage the United States did. Do you know how many? There's so many countries.
Sweden.
Forget about Sweden. Panama, Lithuania, Nepal, Libya, Botswana, Ireland, Switzerland, Georgia, Nigeria, the Republic of the Congo have lower case mortality rates than Australia. Are you kidding me?
To be fair, I'm sure that the people of Australia have never heard of Benjamin Franklin.
Oh yeah.
And you know, we were fortunate enough to have Benjamin Franklin, who said those that would sacrifice sacrifice freedom for temporary security deserve neither and will lose both, or something to that effect.
Is COVID wrecking like third world? I don't like using that word, third world countries. How would or less industrially developed? Is COVID wrecking them, or is this an obesity crisis like in the first world?
There's 2 points to be made on third world countries or underdeveloped nations. One, there's not much data at all saying that there's large numbers of deaths, and if you look at a lot of the charts and everything, you'll see nothing happening. The second point is they don't have the infrastructure for tracking a lot of this stuff. So countries with underdeveloped medical infrastructure aren't tracking any
I would
of
also say some of the more, I mean, once the first wave rolled through there's no guarantee that a Delta variant would pop up independently in that place. And how many people are traveling to third world countries? You know what I mean?
Right.
So
less travel, less population density means less spread.
Which probably mean they reached the fact that they have less access, that they're more crowded together and have less access to modern medicine probably means they reached a higher percentage of natural immunity faster than any other place, right? You would think. So even when a new variant popped up, they would be more protected. I mean, everybody knows at this point that the COVID vaccine treats the spike protein, right? Primarily, right?
It triggers an immune response to the spike protein.
Right. So, but there's 28 other proteins on the COVID cell, right? So if I'm telling you that red circle with all the stuff coming off it that you've seen in the news and stuff. Those are all little proteins, right?
Yeah.
The spike protein is the one that's being treated because that's the one that was causing us issues. The other 28 are not, or they're treated to some degree by this because of the triggered response, but nowhere near as effective as natural immunity. And we see this in this Israeli study. It's 800,000 people. You don't get much bigger than that when it comes to a medical study.
Just as the human brain is greater than any computer we've ever built, I imagine our immune system is stronger than any medicine we could ever administer. I would imagine. I don't know, but I mean,
the most
biomechanical
the most
machines.
protected you could be is to have had COVID, survived it, and also been vaccinated. For sure.
Yes. Yeah.
Right.
Thanks for checking out this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. If you want to see the full show, come back to this channel, youtube.com/TimcastIRL, Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., where you can leave comments and super chat, and we actually will read your comments on the show. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and if you want exclusive members-only content, segments you can't get anywhere else, go to timcast.com, become a member, and we even have full bonus episodes. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.